It's my favorite month of the year because it's my birthday month, and I'm so excited to tell you what I'm going to be reading for the month of November. But first, let's talk about the 5 books that I read in the month of October. Hello, my loves. My name is Nicole Charnel. Welcome back to my channel. And like I said, we're going to be talking about the books that I read for October and also talking about what we're going to be reading for the month of November. So for the month of October, I did use my TBR jar to pick 4 prompts and pick the book that I was going to read for the month of October. I don't think I even remember what those books are, so I'm going to refresh my memory and I will pop those 4 books up on the screen. Out of the 4 books that I picked for my TBR in the month of October, I actually read none of those books. Zero books. So we're going to be doing something a little bit different for the month of November. But first, let's talk about what I did read for the month of October. So I will put my stats up on the screen. These are my stats for the books that I read in the month of October. I read 5 books total, and we're just going to talk about them really briefly. We're going to start off with the 1 5-star of the month, which is Twilight. So I did read Twilight for the month of October. I actually started it in the month of September. It was on my TBR for September, and I started it at the end, and I ended up finishing in October. I read it like half physically and then half on my Kindle because it was on Kindle Unlimited. It's since been taken off of Kindle Unlimited, which kind of sucks because I was then like, oh, I could read all of these books on my Kindle. Nope, can't do it. So, yeah, I ended up just reading this one, and this was a 5-star for me. Any book that I read more than once, like even if it's the second time, I'm going to give you a 5-star. Like if I go to read you again and I didn't give you a 5-star, I'm going to bump you up to a 5-star because I read that book twice. So I know there's like, I think there's like controversy with Stephenie Meyer. I really don't know. All I know is that I love this story. I'm in love with this story. I love this whole series. It's my favorite series. I actually bought the box set because this was the 20th anniversary of Twilight, the books, this year, 2025. So I did buy this box set this year and it's beautiful. I did like a little, well, I guess I could. Oh, no, I did. I did do like an unboxing of the actual book set. So I'll link that video down below. But I read my original version of Twilight. I was actually going to take this book and leave it on a cruise ship because I finished it maybe like right before I went on my cruise. But I ended up forgetting it and taking like 2 other books that I like thought of at the last minute to take and drop off. Anyway, this is a story about a girl who goes to live with her father because she's like still in school and her mom wants to travel with her boyfriend. So she goes to live with her father in a new town, and then she meets a guy who ends up being a vampire. So if you don't know this book, this movie, these stories, and you like paranormal, you like vampires, you probably should check it out because it's so good. Edward's like, to me, the original like best book boyfriend, but maybe not the best. Maybe not the best, but best vampire book boyfriend. Let's just say that. Best vampire book boyfriend, because there's plenty of other book boyfriends that I really enjoy reading. But Edward is just elite. Bella is, I feel like, the same as every female main character. Like, they get annoying for certain things, but you just have to love them anyway. So that's how I feel. The next book I want to talk about is A Mastery of Monsters by, I think it's Lucille Sambury. I did listen to this audiobook. This was, it's maybe a sci-fi would be, or monster, yeah, like a monster fantasy book. Action and adventure is literally the main plot of this book. There is a very slight romance, but this book is about a main character who she ends up losing her mom. Her mom is basically gone. Like, she ran away. She doesn't think her mom is dead. She thinks her mom just kind of left. And so she's kind of dealing with that. And then while she's dealing with that and she's pretty much spiraling, like she's not doing well. She is supposed to be leaving high school, going to college, but she's drinking underage and she's partying all the time. And she's a bad daughter and not the best sister. But then her brother ends up going missing. So she kind of has to get it together to figure out what happened to her brother. And while she goes into that like mystery, she ends up in a secret society of monsters. So that is all I'm going to say for the story, because literally I didn't even read the back of this book. Someone else was talking about it while they were reading it. And I was like, ooh, that sounds so good. And that was pretty much all she gave. And I literally picked the book up off of a whim and I loved it. I think I rated it 4.25 or 4 stars. I rated it 4 stars even. It was a great book. It is a black main characters as well. So that's another reason why I wanted to pick it up. This author has a couple of other books, but they're more YA from what I've read about them, like read from the synopsis. And I'm not a big YA fan. So I decided to read this one because they're going into college at least. They're not as YA, they're not as young. So but anyway, I did like this story. There were a couple things about the main character that annoyed me. There were a couple things also about the writing that annoyed me. The author kind of constantly repeats the same thing and it doesn't quite make sense for the characters, but that's all I'll say. But I think it's something that you could get over easily. Like I did keep reading and I wanted to know more about the story. So that kept me intrigued. Next, I read a book called The Bone King and the Starling. Yes, by Elizabeth Stevens. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my graphic on my phone. And it wasn't a super long book. I think it's like 300 some pages. It is a Viking romance. And I picked this up because I saw it on TikTok. Somebody else was talking about it and she compared it to the show that had, what was that guy's name? There was a Viking show and his name was Uhtred of Bevenberg or something like that. I don't know. Uhtred was fine. He was that actor who played him, chef's kiss. Like he was fine. He was fine. Anyway, she compared the whole Viking story to this book. And I was just like, oh, I probably should read that because I was in love with Uhtred. So I probably should check that out. And that's literally why I picked it up. I think I read this on the way on vacation. I think we were going on vacation and I read it like on the flight and maybe like the first night, or the first couple of days. So really just quick, easy read. It was very easy, nothing complex about it. There wasn't a lot of world building because there wasn't like magic. It was just like Viking things. So every just brutal and just hard thing that you can think about of Vikings, like the killing, the shredding the skin off the body of your enemy type situation. But it wasn't gory. Like it didn't go into like depth of those things, but it talked about those things. And then there was the romance. So I really read it for the romance and for the Black female main character, to be honest. And I thought that was a really nice touch, having a Viking fall in love with a dark-skinned woman. And that was also a part of like the story and her character. So it was decent. I think I rated it a 3.75. I did like the read and I would recommend it. But it was an easy read. It was nothing groundbreaking. All right. What else did I read for the month of October? I read, Court of the Vampire Queen by Katie Robert. So I actually own this book. Okay. Court of the Vampire Queen by Katie Robert. I literally picked this up Second and Charles. Yeah, I think I picked it up at Second and Charles one time when I went, and it's described as a fiction romance. This is erotica, guys. This is erotica. I did not know. When I started reading it, I just thought it was a vampire story. There's a lot going on. And it's super thick. It really is just thick because of all of the extra scenes, okay? But really the plot, I enjoyed the plot of this book. It was basically the girl, she's like a half vampire, half human, and she gets given away to marry this full vampire because her dad wants to gain control of that line of vampires, the bloodline of those vampires. So it really is like a little bit political, and you get like aspects of that story within the very intense romance. I'm just saying very intense romance because that's where, but it's definitely erotica, guys. I'm telling you it is. So think about that when you're going into this, if you're going to go into it. But I feel like I could definitely separate the two. Like it could be two books, like a plot book as like the book with the story and then the book with the romance. Like it could be two different books. But not in the way of like it's separated, but just in the way that the plot of the actual story was good. Like, and that's why I kept reading it. Like I wanted to know what was going to happen and like how she was going to become the vampire queen, basically, because she doesn't start off as the vampire queen, which I'm pretty sure it says on the back of the book. Yeah, it does say that. So, yeah, I mean, I think you just have to like these types of books to be able to read them. But that's all I'll say about that. I think I rated it a 3-star. Okay, and the last book that I read was called Theirs for the Night. This was a novella, and it was also by Katie Robert. So I kind of got sucked in a rabbit hole, a Katie Robert rabbit hole, and I decided to read some novellas by her. So anyway, this was the first novella I read by her, and it was called Theirs for the Night, and it was about a girl who goes out for her birthday, and she meets 2 guys. We'll just leave it right there. We're just going to leave it right there. Right there. And it was like a really short novella read. I would rate it 3 stars, pretty average. I think stuff like that is like, it's very taboo, right? Like, that's all it's about. It's about it being taboo. So those are the 5 books that I read for October. So also talking about novellas, we're doing Novella November. Yes. So I've been reading novellas so far. So actually I'm recording this video and I'm at the end of the first week of November, and I've already read 3 novellas. Yeah, I've read 3 novellas already. And that's what we're doing for the month of November, is just reading as many novellas as we can consume. I also want to read different types of novellas. I'm not really a sad girl reader. I don't really read lit fic, which to me is sad girl books. And just hear me out, just because I don't like to personally read them, but no shame, no hate, no whatever, because I read nonfictions, I read biographies and stuff like that. If I'm going to read fiction, I want a happy ending. That's just me. So, it's hard for me to like deal with problems within my fictional world. Like, I want a happy-go-lucky fictional world, okay? I want the main character to get everything that she wants to be just, happy. And that's what I want out of my reading experience, okay? So I am just reading novellas. I'm also going to be adding in some holiday novellas. Last year for Christmas, in December, I pretty much just read holiday novellas, and I loved that. But for November, I'm just going to sprinkle them in here and there because I'm a Christmas girly. I love Christmas. And so adding in Christmas reads or holiday reads is so fun to me. And it helps me get my like Christmas fix, right? It's like coming home and watching a Hallmark movie like once or twice a week during the Christmas season. So that's my vibe. I love that. So that's what we're going to do for November, is just read a whole bunch of novellas. So I want to tell you a few of them that I have on my list. Let's see. I'm going to literally go to my Kindle because to me, I'm like, finding a good novella is knowing how to work your Kindle, okay? Knowing how to get the most out of your Kindle Unlimited subscription is finding a good novella. So the first few that I've read are part of this series called Scary Love, Scary something, Scared Sexy Collection. That's what it's called. And it's a few different authors. So it's Kimberly Lemming, it's Katie Robert, it's Ruby Dixon, it's Christina Lauren, it's JT Jessinger, I think. Yeah. Oh, and Ali Hazelwood. So each of them basically wrote a scary novella. And I haven't read from Ali Hazelwood, JT Jessinger, or Christina Lauren. I haven't read any of those 3 authors, so I did not pick up their novellas. But the novellas that I did pick up were from Kimberly Lemming, Ruby Dixon, and Katie Robert, because I've read them before. And so for me, like when I read a novella, I gravitate towards the authors that I've already read, because then I won't critique the book too much, because I know what to expect from these authors. A lot of times the criticism you hear from novellas are they're too fast, there's not enough detail, there's not enough story, there's not enough plot. But my thing is, it's a novella, so you can't critique it based off of anything other than that. So it is going to be fast. The plot is going to be quick. You're going to have to fall into the story very quickly because it's only, 100 to 200 pages. So you that's what you're going to get from the book. So that's why I particularly like to read novellas of authors that I've read before, is because I know what their writing is going to give to me. I know I'm going to enjoy their writing. I'm not going to critique the book tremendously. So that's just me. That's my vibe. And so those 3 are the ones that I've read so far. And then I read a couple more by Katie Robert because I might, like I said, in a rabbit hole. Okay. I just like them. I don't know what to tell you. I just like them. Next I have on my list though, I have a biker romance on my list by, let's see, who is this by? View in Store. Marina Wilder. So I have that one on my list. I also have a paranormal one on my list, and it's called Ginger's Grizzlies, where a girl falls in love with grizzly bears, or a grizzly bear. And it's by September Night is the name of the author. Never read anything by September Night. And so I'm interested to get into that. And then I think I have one more on here by a different author. Forever My Lady by C. Wilson. Haven't read anything by them either. So that is on my list for Novella November. So check back. I have already been like literally filming some reading vlogs because I'm also doing a reread of Quicksilver, because if you are a fantasy girly, Quicksilver is the first book. I think it's a trilogy. First book in a trilogy, and the second book comes out this month, November 2025, which is Brimstone by Callie Hart. The second book comes out. So I'm doing my reread so I can get all the information. And I also am tabbing the book, doing some tabs and annotations in the book because I want to make sure I have all the details. So I am fully ready to go into the second book, fully ready. So that's the vibe for November. Okay. So nothing too serious, nothing too harsh. Also, I'm a retail worker, so I work a lot these last 2 months of the year. And I mean, I feel like I work a regular 40 hours a week like normal, but this time of the year, it's just everything is heavier, it's bigger, it's faster, it's busy. So I spend a lot of time at work, and just, I don't have a lot of time, I guess, to lollygag or like lay around, like, because on my days off I'm like trying to get things done just like everybody else, get ready for Christmas, get ready for the holidays. So because of that, I think Novella November is like the perfect thing for me to do, because it's not like I have a stack of books on my TBR that I'm not going to read anyway, apparently, because that's happened for every TBR that I picked on my TBR prompt jar. Haven't read them at all. So anyway, so that's what I'm reading. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know down below what you're reading for the month of November. If you're joining in Novella November, just let me know and we can talk about all the novellas down in the comments. Thanks for watching this video, guys, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.